Let's talk about USIP. The Trump administration is gutting the institution of peace. So last week, bureaucrats held a tense standoff with a DOGE team that required police intervention. A White House spokesperson says that rogue bureaucrats will not be allowed to hold agencies hostage, and a judge agreed with this. District Judge Beryl Howell denied a request from the agency to grant a temporary restraining order that claimed that DOGE committed literal trespass and taking over by force. Now questions are being raised over what USIP could be trying to hide. USIP has around 300 employees, has a budget of $55 million a year. We know that it was established by Congress in 1984, and it claims that its mission is to prevent violent conflicts and broker peace deals abroad. This is, of course, despite the United States having been involved in numerous military interventions, prolonged wars, and the rising global instability in decades since then. It's hard to actually see what USIP has been able to achieve.
Well, it's funny that they only have a budget of $55 million or whatever the exact number is, because if you actually drive by the U.S. Institute for Peace, and I've driven by it any number of times, it's located right on Constitution Avenue. It's literally right off the National Mall. So if you've been a tourist in Washington, D.C., you're driving down Constitution Avenue, you're driving down Main Justice and the Federal Reserve, and then you see this mysterious building, U.S. Institute of Peace. What in the world is this there? And it turns out that this, like so many other alphabet soup agencies or alphabet soup NGOs that are funded by the taxpayer in Washington, D.C., it's just a bunch of deep state career leftist bureaucrats. That's basically all that's going on here, it turns out, at the U.S. Institute of Peace there. By the way, the judge who actually ruled against the USIP employees there and ruled in favor of Elon Musk and DOGE, Beryl Howell, total left-wing judge, absolute far-left judge there. I suppose a broken clock, after all, is still correct twice a day there, but it says just how it speaks volumes about how just meritless, frankly, the USIP's lawsuit was against Elon Musk and Doge here for trying to gut out a lot of the fat in this taxpayer subsidized adjunct of the federal government. It's not really an agency. It's not really independent. It's kind of just an appurtenance, you might say, of the federal government. But the federal government, it turns out, has a lot of appurtenances, to use the same word there. That's kind of what Donald Trump was elected to do, by the way. He was elected to drain the swamp. I mean, what did the people out there think that drain the swamp meant? I mean, did y'all think that it was just a bunch of mean tweets? I mean, it's time to actually drain the swamp in action. That's literally the whole point of the Department of Government Efficiency. It's the whole point of what Elon Musk is doing there. Apparently, he's staying awake till 1 a.m. every night. He's sleeping in his office there. The world's wealthiest man is committed to this. He is committed to gutting out waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. The American people are on his side. American people, roughly 65 to 70% approval ratings, say that they like what Doge and Elon Musk are doing there. It is slush funds. It is taxpayer subsidized career leftist bureaucrat slush funds like the USIP that are on the wrong side of the American voter. And yet again, Gabriella, we see that the left is forced to defend a fairly indefensible position, a position, mind you, that, as I just said, even a very left-wing judge like Beryl Howell actually ruled against.
I want to talk to you about accused pro-Hamas supporter Mahmoud Khalil, who you mentioned earlier. We're learning more about him, this detained Columbia University protester. The New York Post is reporting today that he hid his ties to UNRWA on his visa application. As we know, UNRWA was rightfully stripped of tens of millions of dollars in federal funding after it was revealed that several staff members took part in the October 7 terror attack on Israel. So over the weekend, lawyers for the DOJ lodged new accusations against the anti-Israel campus protest leader in court papers, arguing that they should be grounds for deportation. What's your reaction to this?
Well, if you are lying on a U.S. visa application, period, full stop, end of story, that is sufficient grounds to deport you. Frankly, you actually don't even need that. I mean, that is actually above and beyond what is required under our law in order to deport someone. You know, the Mahmoud Khalil story, I sometimes find myself just kind of pinch myself to make sure that we're actually really debating this. This guy is a genuine apologist for Hamas. This is a guy who has praised armed resistance, aka violent jihad, against the Jewish people, against the Jewish state of Israel there. This is someone who was one of the student leaders of the vandalism, the anarchy at Hamilton Hall at Columbia University last year. He was one of the student negotiators there. This is someone who has been closely involved with CUAD, Columbia University Apartheid Divest, a student organization that literally puts on their social media feed, "We seek to eradicate Western civilization." Well, okay, thanks for telling us there. If you're here in a visa, bye-bye. Look, there is an unbroken string of U.S. immigration law going back since the origins of the republic, going back 250 years, that it is inherent in the principle of national sovereignty that any alien, whether legal or illegal, can be removed at any time for any reason. There is no such thing as quote unquote due process when it comes to aliens. This is a key point, actually. It was Justice Robert Jackson, one of the great 20th century Supreme Court justices, in a 1953 case called Shaughnessy, who famously said that due process does not entail any alien around the world with the right to immigrate here against our will. And then once you are here, you don't have a due process right to be safeguarded from removal against the national will. It's a very fancy way of saying that once you're here, if we, the people who are the sovereign here in the United States, if we don't want you here, you're out. That's basically how it works. So the fact that he's lying on his visa paperwork there is additional grounds under the relevant statute, the Immigration and Nationality Act, to deport him. Frankly, as a matter of constitutional law, you don't even need him there. But again, as we were saying earlier, what does it say about the American left and the corporate media here, the chattering class, the commentary, that they are forced to defend this utter miscreant there? This is not just an 80-20 issue, Gabriella. This is probably closer to a 90-10 or a 95-5 issue. The American people want miscreants like this jihadist thug gone, and God willing, gone he shall be.